guess what? I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
It's a choice. So one of the things that we want to challenge people, Erica, you won't change your life as long as you're choosing to do things that are easy.
That's true.
So every day we wake up, we make easy choices, but we want an excellent life. Akuna success which comes without a price. And that's a choice. You don't buy success, you pay for success. That's the difference. So there's no shop that actually going to go and say, I want to buy success. No, it doesn't work that way. It's the price you have to be willing to pay. And that's a function of choice. And I want you to sit down with yourself, like what Shingo was talking about. Introspect. Sit down with yourself, Erica. Tagara tunaenda magroup, tunaenda pa Twitter, chituka vanhu chididi, but sit down with yourself, one-on-one with you. Ask yourself, kupi. And as long as you are still lying to yourself and making those funny choices, you won't go anywhere. You change your life the moment you choose to make different and engage in different conversations with yourself.
Facing the man in the mirror.
Of choices.
The power of choice.
Choices, Erica. When you wake up every day in the morning, you have a choice to complain or a choice to take responsibility. That's within your control. When you wake up every day in the morning, you have a choice to be angry at people and say, I was born from this background, my mother was not this, my father was not this. You have got a choice. But you also have got a choice to say, why not? So what? So yes, I'm born from a family which doesn't have A, B, C, D. But why can't I be the family and be the person who is going to create A, B, C, D for the next generation? You've got a choice to run with the narrative. You also have got a choice to disrupt the narrative. In other words, my father was a drunkard, I'm going to be better. Or my father was drunkard, I'm going to be drunkard. That's a choice. So you can disrupt the narrative and say, the story is not going to end this way. And once we understand the power of choices, it will literally change our lives. And we live in a society, Erica, that doesn't want to take responsibility. This is the reason why we wake up every day and we look for someone to blame. You are fighting whatever you're fighting, you're always thinking about X, Y, Z. Is the reason why you're in that particular position. So the moment you wake up every day, you understand that you have no one to blame. I think I've read this book. No one is coming. Once you understand that reality, that no one is coming to change your life, you begin to take the choice to actually change it, which means you have to be firmly in control of your life. And that takes a choice. Right now, we're living with people who just wake up every day, they look for data, go on Twitter, complain, look for data, go on Instagram, complain, look for data, go on Facebook, complain. But the very same data, someone is actually selling a product.
Or look for a job.
Look for a job. That very same data, you can go on LinkedIn. Make yourself a profile, make yourself visible, and guess what? Opportunities will begin to see you the moment you become visible. And that's a choice. So every day when you wake up, you have a choice to improve yourself. Every day when you wake up, you have a choice to be average. Every day when you wake up, you have a choice to be excellent. Every day when you wake up, you have a choice to be exceptional. Every day you wake up, you have a choice to either defend the status quo or to challenge the status quo. Every day when you wake up, you have an option to actually defend where you're coming from. Alternatively, to fight for where you want to go. These are choices. You've got a choice to say, okay, yes, I'm not coming from a wealthy family, but a wealthy family is going to come from me. That's a choice.
Sure.
Yes, I'm coming from a disintegrated family, a broken down family, but a united family is going to come from me. That's a choice. So the moment you refuse to be captive to the circumstance that you first find yourself in, that's the moment your life begins to change. In other words, you take the responsibility for changing your life. That's what Dennis Whitley says. There are two primary choices in life, either to accept things as they are or to accept responsibility for changing them. And that's a choice.
Please take that again.
The two primary choices in life, either to accept things as they are or accept responsibility for changing them. That's Dennis Whitley. And this is also a choice, Erica, to wake up and say, I'm going to change. I was watching a movie called Harriet Tubman. I think you need to speak. I'm speaking a lot. Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman. There's a movie called Harriet Tubman on Netflix. Tubman is born a slave. But guess what? She refused to die a slave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does she do? She runs away because she's about to be sold. She comes back saying, I want to rescue my husband. Guess what? She finds the husband married to another person in slavery.
They will hurt you.
And the next thing, she thought she had come for her husband, only to realize there were more people who actually wanted to get out of slavery. They were tired of it. They had to make a choice to say, this story is not going to end this way.
Yeah.
And they started running with her. Then she made a choice to actually say, I'm going to be helping more and more people. Later on, she was to remark, and this is what she says. She says, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more slaves if only they knew they were slaves.
Wow.
Oh, that's powerful. Please take that one more time.
I freed
I freed
1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only
They knew. So
they knew they were
sometimes
slaves.
you don't even know that you're a slave of
True.
them. Yeah.
So there are two tragedies, Erica. Number one is being a slave, and number two, not knowing it. Meaning you can actually be a slave and not know it. But there's even a dangerous level, Erica, where you are a happy slave. That's why it's so difficult to liberate a happy slave.
Listen, you preaching, man. Yeah.
So as long as what you're doing is making sense, you give up the power to change it. But the moment the things that you're doing stop making sense, I write about this in this book, no one's coming. The things that you're doing stop making sense. Guess what? You get into a mode called this is nonsense. And that's the level where you begin to make the choices to change your life.
One of my favorite statements.
Yes. So you can't change what makes sense to you. You can only change what doesn't make sense to you. And this is the power of choice.
That is amazing. I mean, I'm very congruent with everything you said, Arthur. And when it comes to choices, I think it boils down to identity.
Yep.
You know, just knowing who you are, knowing what you want, knowing where you're going as well. And with life, you have to introspect, something that we hardly do as human beings.
Yep.
And sometimes we have got this fear. We're scared of the unknown, fear of the unknown. Sometimes we know what's coming, but do we want to step into it?
Yep.
Sometimes we play victim. We have the blame policy. My mother was this, my father was this, my family was this. Like you said, you make a choice, you know, to accept those things or to take responsibility. You also have to be accountable.
You're right.
You also have to make sure that who you are defines
You're
the
right.
next generation.
Yep.
You can't keep playing the victim card, because at the end of the day, who's coming?
You're right.
And like your book says,
No
no
one
one
is
is
coming.
coming.
And Erica, the point that I've always been making, especially anyone who's listening to us right now, I've heard people saying things are hard. Guys, that's what I mean.
Almost proclaiming it.
Taura kuti ndakaomerwa. In the same environment, Erica, I know ordinary people who stepped out of the ordinary and started doing the extraordinary.
So after what you're saying is, don't say things are hard as if you're speaking for
No, no,
everyone.
don't be a
Say that
spokesperson.
made
It's
up
that
now.
Ndakaomerwa.
I
Because
like that.
because
Yeah.
every day, Erica, go to Magaba. There are men and women who are making a choice.
Yeah.
There
Doing
are men and women who are stepping out and challenging the status quo.
You know, I like what you just said there, because the power of the word,
Yep.
the tongue, what
Oh,
you
yeah.
say is exactly
Yep.
how it will be. Jiri say, shakaoma, shinotombooma.
Yep.
True that.
So it's a choice to create a narrative. In other words, Judy say, instead of speaking where you are, speak where you want to be.
True.
It will change your life radically. You know, Eric, I've got a U in maths at all level. I've seen English at all level, C English A level, third class university communication skills. So in case you want to use my background against me, no, I'm already telling you.
And if you own your truth, no one
Yeah.
can use it
So
against you.
I had a choice primarily to say, no, guys, I can't be standing in front of people, I can't be speaking. Cha, the truth is I made a choice. I'm going to work on my public speaking. The truth is I'm going to tell my story. Hey, I'm going to tell my story. This is where I'm coming from. And guess what? I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
It's a choice. So one of the things that we want to challenge people, Erica, you won't change your life as long as you're choosing to do things that are easy.
That's true.
So every day we wake up, we make easy choices, but we want an excellent life. Akuna success which comes without a price. And that's a choice. You don't buy success, you pay for success. That's the difference. So there's no shop that actually going to go and say, I want to buy success. No, it doesn't work that way. It's the price you have to be willing to pay. And that's a function of choice. And I want you to sit down with yourself, like what Shingo was talking about. Introspect. Sit down with yourself, Erica. Tagara tuenda magroup, tuenda pa Twitter, chituka vanhu chididi, but sit down with yourself, one-on-one with you. Ask yourself, zvandiri zvinosvika kupi?
True.
And as long as you are still lying to yourself and making those funny choices, you won't go anywhere. You change your life the moment you choose to make different and engage in different conversations with yourself.
Facing the man in the mirror.
Is also, it takes a lot of courage, Erica, to say, Sha, is that we does to make a sense?
Yeah.
Can't we do something else that's different? And that's a function of choices. We can actually do an entire program on choices. One day we'll do a talk on what I call the 7 choices for greatness. But the next thing that I think is very important, and it's a function, again, of understanding this step, is something called chances. Chance. The word chance speaks to opportunity. You see, God is so generous. Whether you're the worst sinner, whether you're the most perfect person, God gives each and every one of us 24 hours.
Without a doubt. 24
hours from the largest followed person on Twitter to the least followed person on Twitter. Even if you're not on Twitter, you have 24 hours, Erica. From the richest person on the planet to the poorest person on the planet, you have 24 hours.
You have to choose what you
You
have to do
have
with
to
your time.
choose what you have to do with your time. And you see, your life goes the direction of your time. In other words, what are you doing with your time? This is where your life is going. Meaning, if you want to see where your life is going, Erica, you don't need a prophet. Look at how you're spending your time. You know, they say Netflix makes an average of about $7 million an hour.
I contribute to that.
They are simply saying, kune vanhu vane time yekuona Netflix. Of course, I watch Netflix, good programs, of course. But these guys, they understand their hour is money. That's why Benjamin Franklin says time is money. Once you understand that, 24 hours speaks to 24 opportunities every day. In other words, how you look at your time, how you look at your circumstances. You can either be seeing a header, you can be seeing at the same time an opportunity as well. Someone says something very well. He says, time and chance happens to everyone.
That's true.
Time and chance. So you're where you are, Erica, because of how you have used your time. And you can be where you want to be the moment you decide to use your time differently.
And take the chance. Yeah.
And take the chance. So every day you're seized with opportunities that are disguised as work. Every day you're seized with opportunities that are disguised as difficulties. But the moment you change your perspective, it will change your life. A story is told about a Chinese guy. He steps from one of the planes at Harare International Airport, Robert Gabriel Mugabe Airport. Then it wasn't. Then he's told, Zimbabwe nemvura yakasviba. And you know what he says? He says, I'm going to distill water. And they simply say, Zimbabwe, life is good. There's actually a brand called that.
Your life is good. Yeah.
There's somebody where everyone was complaining. He sees a life which can be good, opportunity. He monetized it. That's a chance. Instead of crying, Erica, for a minute, for a moment, chimbozvibvunza, but what is the opportunity in that problem? Before you complain about everything, I want you to begin to say, what can I do with this crisis? What opportunities await for me in this particular crisis? I want you to look at what happened with COVID. COVID introduced many people to retirement. But lockdown, the 21 days, if you were broke, it was simply an introduction to a broke retirement. And if you didn't take time to introspect and say, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to shift my life, you're in trouble. But it also introduced a new range of business opportunities.
Yeah.
Number one, we saw people making sanitizers. Number two, we saw people distributing en masse masks. Number three, we saw people inventing machines where you could just press and the sanitizer would come. Next, we saw people getting into delivery businesses. So you want your food, we'll bring it home.
Major.
They develop payment solutions. No, you don't have to bring the cash. We can do it electronically. I want you to look at the number of innovations that came from COVID.
Bad situation.
Bad situation. It's because of understanding of the importance of chances / opportunities. You're where you are in life, Erica, because of the opportunities you used and the opportunities that you wasted.
True.
You know, at one point in time, history actually records this, that a company called Western Union could actually have bought a company called AT&T. AT&T is a company that was started by Alexander Graham Bell, the guy who created the phone. They were offered to buy that company for $100,000. Inflation adjusted, that was $3 million. AT&T right now is worth $100 billion.
Imagine that.
Opportunity
And time.
and time. They told AT&T, no, we don't see the telephone as a means of communication. Then in the 1800s. And they missed on a chance. Change how you think. The moment you learn to change how you think, you begin to see opportunities. And once you begin to see opportunities, guess what? You begin to take advantage of them. And that will literally change your life.
Sure.
And the last thing that I want to talk about is changes.
Changes.
Changes. Choices, chances, changes. Erica, life is about change. Whether you want to change, life will change you.
That is so true. Listen, that is so true.
So, you can't find change. That's one of the things you need to realize. So, I want you to look at this. At one point in time, your wardrobe had a certain size. The next thing you wake up and say it's not fitting. No. It's simply that you've changed. The size has not changed.
Over time.
You've just changed.
Yeah. Oh, you want to watch it is and the size young
I check one.
It's saying you won't do
You do
it.
it. So
That's it, yeah.
let's learn from nature. Nature teaches us change.
Yeah.
So a baby, you don't see what's happening necessarily, but when you wake up, if it's in the stomach in the tummy, you actually see that it's growing. Why? Because there's change happening in the inside. And when the 9 months has come, whether you like it or not, someone needs to come out. If that someone doesn't come out, it becomes a theater situation. Because life is about change. And so once you've understood the choices that you have to make, and once you've understood the chances that you have, I think you need to make changes.
Absolutely lovely. I think it's been pretty edifying, and I think to just give it a quick rundown, 3 steps to change in your life, and you said choices, chances, and changes. And I think another takeaway is opportunity, time as well.
True.
That you should just make sure that you do take something away from that. Shingi.
152. Then I'm available on all social media platforms. Like and follow for more inspirational content.